pass through. 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. Welcome to your Ass Hurts News Network, coming to you live from the tip top of Cock Tower Square with your host, Sergeant Friday. Sarge, how you doing?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm doing fantastic. Rarely a day that I'm not doing awesome, in all fairness. I mean, where the life is good. Life is good.
Oh, that's good.
How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Feeling upbeat this evening.
Upbeat. Well, maybe we ought to start a band and fuck this streaming, huh?
I'm telling you, I might.
We get that. Yeah, I'm thinking there's well, never mind.
Teach you to play the spoons.
The spoon.
Yeah.
Spooner.
You never see anybody play the fucking spoons?
Well, I'll tell you what. If my horse has no legs, I'll ride up to it tomorrow. Hang on and wait for me to ride, would you? Poor horse.
Speaking of horse with no legs, this morning Savage played this damn clip of this. It was Betty's car, Black Beauty. Or it was an impression of it, and it was somebody with a black-headed stick horse that was trotting around a little caged-in area. And I said, "Look, it's Sarge's horse with no legs."
It's Sarge's horse with no legs. Dude, that's fucking epic.
It was funny as shit.
Fucking epic. Yeah, I don't even know how I came up with that stupid idea, but anyway, it appeared in my head, and like I may have told you this, but I'm at my wholesaler who's overcharged me multiple times on product, and I go over there and I catch him in his office. He's got some people in there, and he said, "Oh, good news! I corrected your bills." I said, "Well, it's a good thing I'm not a fat bastard." And he looks at me like, "What?" And he's all puzzled. I said, "Well, I'm still able to reach down and grab my ankles." I said, "What do these fat bastards do that you're banging out like me?" He just didn't know what to say, bro. Poor son of a bitch. The fat bastard, you should have seen his twisted face, the confusion. What does that got to do with, your billing? You could just see the questions just swarming his face. But when I put it together, he was like, "You are. Where the hell did you hear that?" I go, "I make this shit up as I go, bro. I'm a professional troll, according to someone that's diagnosed me." Oh, man. So, listen, I'm proud of that. Everybody's got to have a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah. You're the master at trolling. I mean, it is what it is.
I think trolling can be a wonderful thing.
It was your calling.
It was something. I don't know if it called or if it just showed up, but I dropped in with no warning. Right? Crazy.
Yeah.
So I did do a message to Seth Rogers, and I hope people like the way the message is delivered and the things that I'm saying in there. But if they don't, matter of fact, one person went in there. I do want to find that because I need to find that person. Just give them a slap. Sort by newest first. Let's see. So somebody came in and said, "This is the most." And I attacked them. They said something. They brought up Katie Proudfoot, like they're attacking Katie Proudfoot.
Yeah.
And so I just call him. I attacked them. Nasty shit stains. Get out of my stream.
Is that what you?
To Seth Rogers, you worthless piece of shit. I don't
Was
want to
that
hear your opinion about Katie, you nasty fuck.
Was that your exact word for word response?
I'm trying to find it right now, man. I fucking lit him up. Fuck out of my channel, you filthy fucking pig. You're talking that shit. I don't want to hear about it. This thing got nothing to do with Katie. Listen to the fucking message with your fucking pre-programmed jerk off fucking way of living. Yeah, bro. I'm not having it. You cannot contradict the Sarge and these messages, or I will just attack and I'll find your mother and fuck her. How about that? Right? I'll send her home with fucking cum in her hair. You nasty pieces of shit.
Oh fuck!
Sergeant back. I've recovered from my earlier fucking mellowness.
That is apparent because that was pretty fucking harsh. I'm sure there's somebody now with their ass hurting on the way out the door.
That better hurt, or I'll make their mother's ass hurt. Okay, someone's ass is gonna hurt, and I don't give a fuck how old or ugly she is. Something's gonna be hurting. Okay. Oh my God, these people are just fucking crazy. It's the viewer. That's what I said. The 5.62 billion fucking morons out here. They all need a good bashing verbally, at the very least. So I think they deleted their comment, man.
Well,
I didn't. I kept it. I didn't want to attack it. I didn't want to take it down. I wanted to attack it and let people see me attack it.
Well, I guess they took their comment and went home.
I think they took their comment and went home. Maybe they think I'm a soft touch. And let me tell you, you touch me and things start to get hard. Well, specifically.
Oh, fuck.
Bumping into me in a line, you're not going to like what you're starting to feel. Anyway, so listen, I do have, besides my mental illness, right? I do have some. Oops, sorry. I do want to play that clip. I said my goal is to keep these clips at 15 minutes or less, and I think I've been 16 or 17, but this one comes in at just under 15. If you don't mind, I'd like to share that with the audience that's being broadcast from Cot Tower.
Absolutely.
Across three social media platforms. What do you think?
I think it sounds like a fantastic idea. I want to see it. I haven't gotten a chance to see it, so
you never, as a co-host, really have any chance to see what's going on in here until I give it.
Look, I'm just YouTube's resident fucking laugh track. Okay, that's kind of been.
But the truth of the matter is, even the third world technical department are aware of these things. I had both of them in tears. The one guy was funny. He was trying to blow up the tire and cry at the same time, and he was shooting shit out of his nose. It was crazy, bro. I just told him leave the tire alone.
He was using fucking snot for tire slime.
Listen, I think he was trying to plug a leak, but it was his eyes that were leaking. He just thought it was very touching. All right, I'll play this.
Well, what you need to do is start playing it, and at the end, let it pause for 5 seconds and go, "If you're crying, you're a fucking pussy."
Oh my God! No, obviously you can see the goal of these a message too. The goal is to be is non vulgar and aggressive as I am every other minute of the day. I wake up yelling at the clock that went off. You son of a bitch. Anyway, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sergeant Friday. I'm with the Your Ass Hurts News Network. I want to thank everybody that's responded to the last couple of videos that I've done. The videos are a message too, and these videos will change on a daily basis. The message will be to many individuals. Many of them will shock you to hear their names. But currently, I'm sticking with cases that are part of true crime that are relevant to the public knowledge and public interaction as far as it goes with the social media interaction on these cases. In this particular video, I would like to just address Seth Rogers. I'm sorry. I said that so wrong. Seth Rogers. Seth. You can call me Bruno. And one day maybe we'll talk or meet. I just wanted to address you and tell you my deepest heartfelt feelings for your loss, for the suffering and pain and despair of the unknown connected to the loss. And for the torturous desire to put your son in a hug, put him in the car, take him for a ride, interact with him. I can't personally relate on that to that kind of suffering, and suffering it is, and no parent, some ways this is even worse than losing a child to an accident of some sort. Here, this complete unknown, and your suffering just. It goes to a level that most of us can give you statements like I'm giving you, but just be aware that almost none of us can relate directly with any of this, with the situation that you're embroiled in. And, so again, my deepest heartfelt sympathies to you and to Sebastian and the family in general. The reason I made this video, and I had made a video that was directed towards your son, is not to pick sides, not to pick winners and losers, but to remind you that it is your son that matters more than anything else. It matters more than anything else to you, to Chris, to Katie, to the relatives, to the friends, to the teachers, to the circle of adults and families and friends that he had, and importantly to the hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people that are part of social media. His safe return and his knowing he's okay and or finding him okay is of paramount importance. It's all that matters. Nothing else matters. And I can relate to the undue suffering that you're enduring, and the lashing out, and the acting out emotionally, because your hurt from the past seem to be more relevant under the conditions under which your son went missing, or at least they seem that way, or they feel that way. And I can understand your despair, and I can understand the attacks. As an example, I Googled your name to make sure I spelled it right. And the first video that came up is Court TV. And it says his mom is responsible for this. Sebastian Rogers' dad, and goes on. Now, I would hope that the top hit from that search could be something different. That it wasn't you accusing the mom, and it wasn't you accusing the stepfather. It wasn't you accusing anybody for the disappearance of your son. A disappearance that's the most mind-boggling disappearance I've ever heard of. It's devastating, even more so because of the circumstances under which he went missing. There's no doubt about it. Yet, the agony and the anguish and the burden and the pain and the emotional distress that you had before the situation should absolutely not be a part of the situation. And that's where I would hope maybe you would refocus your efforts. Take down these people that are supposed to be representing you. Come out, be the father that you are, and make every statement, every request, everything focused solely on the recovery of your son. Put in the effort, put in the time that I'm sure you're doing now. But when it comes to public speaking, it's been turned into a shit show of who's worse than who's worse, and who did it, who coulda, woulda, shoulda. And the fact of the matter is, you, along with the Proudfoots, according to the police's own statements, there's no sign of anything done wrong here by any of you parents. And listen, I get that the old pains that you have, I have them too. I went through a divorce. After that divorce, something happened to my daughter, something that I'm convinced then and now that if I were given the proper custody arrangement would not have happened. However, as you are able to look back on things in life, you realize that even in a partial custody situation, even though at this particular time what happened while the child should have been with me, it could have happened on times anytime. The nature of what happened could have happened anytime and would have happened anytime. And I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't want to say anything that if my daughter hears these videos would embarrass her or cause her any stress whatsoever. And I'm using this as an example, Seth. And that frame of mind, that dealing in that context, understanding that issues are different. And even though I'm personally convinced, especially at the time, in the heat of the moment, that if I would have had a better custody arrangement, if it was shared custody as it should have been, this wouldn't have happened to my daughter. And as time went on and I reflected back, it's a good thing I didn't respond to my emotions. Unlike your situation where that's all unknown, my situation, I clearly knew the actors involved, and my immediate response was to go commit homicide. And it took friends and it took everything in me not to go commit homicide. against not just my ex-wife, but others attached to that situation. So let me tell you, for 100% fact, I not only can relate to your son, I can relate to the pain and anguish that you're going through, and the thoughts, and even your own shortcomings that you beat yourself up with, that I beat myself up with. And in the end, as time passes and you reflect back, your reflection is going to offer you a way to see things that you couldn't see in the heat of the moment. And so I just wanted to come out here and share that with you, that this is not the time to rehash and add all that past agony onto the agony of the burden that you're carrying already, with your son disappearing like he was taken by some UFO or something. It's just mind-numbing what happened to your son. I can't, and I'm a very logical person. I try to be very, very fact-driven person. And I just can't make heads or tails or sense of what happened with Sebastian. So I get you there. And I had a contentious divorce. And then I had something happen to my child that's just, and I had to cope with that situation. And I'm glad that I had a friend, and I'm glad that I had the ability to cope and leave that issue off the table when we dealt with what had to be dealt with, which was what happened. And I didn't get into the other things, that if they were different, because the if is never sure. And when we woulda, coulda, shoulda, or if, it just leaves all the room for your emotions to pile in and run you over. And I think sadly that's happened here. And I honestly think that had you engaged with hosts on YouTube, hosts that were responsible to the subject they are covering, which is Sebastian Rogers, had you engaged with hosts that helped rein in and helped you express those feelings, but not to the public, between you and yourselves or close friends, your ideas and thoughts of what Katie or Chris or anybody else might have done, and kept them off the air and kept the focus on just helping find Sebastian. Not saying that you haven't focused on that. I'm not accusing you of any wrongdoing. I'm simply pointing out to you that the emotional stress and pain that you're under has been used by people that should never have used it, have encouraged you by supporting you and surrounding you, and you're their patsy. It may even not even feel like that to you. You may feel justified because what you're saying about your past issues with these folks is true. And it could be. I don't want to talk about it. It's none of my business. But the real truth is Sebastian's still missing. And the real truth is that for every word and for every letter that was applied to go between the parents, against the parents, through any kind of streamer or any kind of statements to the public, for every single letter of those statements and those millions of words that were spoken, if just 10 times for each of those letters, we could have said the name Sebastian Rogers, we may have found your son by now. This idea and this chaos and this vitriol, all is based on absolute suffering that your son is gone. I get it. I would be listen, I'm not going to be specific about the things with my daughter because my daughter's stuff is personal to her, I and her mother. And no matter who's right or wrong or not, doesn't matter. There's nobody's damn business. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say to you. You want to hear it straight up? That's what I'm saying to you. Your issues with the other two parents, are not part of the story. If a fact arises that impugns any one of them, then these particular issues may be relevant to some extent. And then again, they may not be. But clearly, they're not relevant in trying to bring Sebastian home. Look at all the contention between you three. Look at all the vitriol between you three. Look at all the chaos between you three. If this boy ran away because of you three, and I'm not saying he did, but let's be honest, it could be because of you three, especially since we've seen the last 90 days of interactions, right? It could have been. And just imagine now if you see it still going on. What motive are you giving the boy to come home? Seth, you can do this. We can do this. It just takes a little reshuffling. We can use the same computers, the same phones, the same keyboards. We can do this. We can find Sebastian. But all of the other side talk based on heartfelt emotions needs to stop. Your representatives need to go. And I think you need to pick, or at least with the people that you're comfortable with, force them, because you won't engage in any of this vitriol again, and stick to it and talk about Sebastian. Let's draw a map of the areas that were searched, of areas that haven't been searched, and let's start making the map bigger. Let's start raising money for billboards. Let's get even more intense of searching for him again, and like it just happened yesterday, and get that kind of energy going again, and try to locate Sebastian. That's my hope. That's why I'm making a message to you, that if I could, and that's why I'm doing this. I feel that my advice is no worse than anyone else's advice. Advice is advice, but I highly suspect the advice I'm giving you is going to be a bit more pointed and a bit more critical, yet not condemning. I won't condemn any of you three for any reason whatsoever. You don't deserve it. You have so much pain right now that for anybody to help add more pain, for any streamer, for any host, or for anybody that pretends to be a creator, I'm a creator. No, God's the creator. Okay. You're just a bunch of idiots like me that have a YouTube channel. That's it. Okay. We're all just a bunch of fucking idiots. But if we sit back and think, we can do sensible things, we can do amazing things. We all have to just get on the same page and stay there. So I wish you, your son, all the best I can offer. And I can assure you that even people that at this point may hate the other co-parents, they'll even agree, even with Chris and Katie, and alongside of you, those people that disagree or don't like you, even they'll agree that finding Sebastian will fix everything. So I want to sign off now. I don't know where else to go with this. And I hope you received this well, and know that it was sent with only the most considerate intentions, and the hope that you give it consideration. And the streamers that you're involved with, specifically some, I'm not going to name names, but your representatives, take this and run with this concept, this idea, this way of separating the pain that you have from multiple things throughout life, and focusing only on the tragedy and the pain that is the missing young man, Sebastian, your son. And I'm signing off. I ran out of stuff to say, and I hope this was enough.
Well, Sarge, you there?
Cletus?
There you
Back
are.
to you, Cletus. There you are.
I don't know. I just, I think you found your second calling, and
What
not
would that
only
be?
not. I think you're just as powerful of a. I think you're a powerful troll, probably the master of trolls. But I think, listening to the message to Sebastian yesterday, and now the message to Seth, I think at a minimum, you are one hell of an advocate to society in situations like this, if they'll listen to these messages and process what's being said and the situations that they're directed toward. And I would encourage you to consider being an advocate for families in these situations, because you're you're 2 for 2 with knocking it out of the damn park.
What about the first one with the Idaho Bar, Steve Gottlieb?
I hadn't fucking heard it yet.
Yeah. Wow. Me, I might need another. You might end up being slowly. I'm going to bring up one of the third world technicians and change host. What do
Look,
you mean?
motherfucker.
All right, well, listen,
Look, motherfucker. I'm busy. All right, I got a job and I've got Clue. I got plenty to do.
Yeah. The job is probably the least of it. I think she's sucking up all our viewers.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah.
they're probably viewers from her stream anyway, so it's unfair to say she's sucking up our viewers. They are our as a community. But yeah, I think she's. But I think she also played that clip, the Sebastian clip.
She did. She played the
Yeah,
Sebastian clip, and I was watching the chat as we were listening to it here, and I think the response was very overwhelmingly positive. So I hope that the people that hear this, and I hope Seth hears it, and I hope it's what he needs to hear. So
Yeah, I really think there's a lot of there's so many subjects and topics that need to be addressed that we all need to be nudged a little bit or reminded of something. It's not all bad. I mean, these videos in no way, shape, or form are disrespectful or accusatory or harmful in any way, shape, or form. And more of that will spread over the internet as I hope more and more people start coming to watch the messages too. So if
yeah,
I put a message to Elon Musk or a message to whoever it might be, that those messages get seen by many viewers. It's simple. It's simpler to say this stuff when it's part of your life. That's how you view the world. And I think most of us would view the world a little differently if they knew there were people just like them that viewed it like that as well. Right?
yeah.
We're like a dying fucking breed or something. I was in. Did I say this yet? Have you heard me say, knowledge is your prison?
Uh, Something to that effect, but I don't know that you've actually worded it that way.
That's something too. If you don't mind us discussing that.
Yeah, let's
This
do it.
this is an important. I think this is probably. I'll say this a lot, folks, because I do come up with genuinely unique statements and ideas in a collection of words that do end up being very powerful. And so you're going to hear me say all the time, I think this is the best one I ever said.
You're like a fucking dog that pets himself.
Jesus Christ.
Good boy.
Somebody help me, help me, help me. Don't you judge me. Holy shit. But I want to give people a small explanation. Knowledge is your prison. Okay. And this is why I completely understand the term ignorance is bliss. You've all heard that. You all have some idea what that means, but let me give you the reason it exists. That statement only exists because knowledge without action is your prison. That's an unequivocal statement. It's undeniable. Knowing all of the corruption and crimes that are being done around us by the people that we're literally sitting here waiting for someone to fix everything that's broke. We have the knowledge of what all of these things are happening around us, all the police corruption, all the different chaoses, all the kids that are at the border that are stolen, all the crimes, all the drugs, all the fentanyl. We have all the knowledge and no action. And we've imprisoned ourselves to these electronic boxes, whether they're in your hand or on your desk. We've created our own prison. There was this movement called Q, and I told them all in the very beginning they were a bunch of morons. People have to know things before they can do things. No, knowledge is actionable the first moment that it becomes truth. And your inaction has caused the prison that we're all in. We're sitting here as spectators as this country is being destroyed from within, and we're doing nothing to stop it. Nothing, not a damn thing. And that's why I say to you, knowledge and knowing things is your prison. Isn't it torturous to know that 300,000 some odd kids went missing last year? Isn't it? That's torturous to know that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shocking number. It really is.
Every 45 seconds, somebody's ID is stolen. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? Man, and we know this knowledge to be fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can you now see the prison we've built around ourselves with it?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
why inaction makes knowledge. So ignorance is bliss, folks, because you don't have any concern in the world when you don't know there's anything to worry about. Fair enough.
Well, would you say it's a situation where knowledge is the prison and emotions are the jailer?
I wouldn't stray too far from disagreeing with that at all. That makes a lot of sense.
Because I
Emotions
mean, emotions are what keep the prison a prison instead of a storage closet. Right? You know what I mean?
right.
That's the way I kind of look at it. Because you can, and I don't want to pick at him, but I'm going to use it as an example. Seth is highly emotional, right? He's gathering a lot of knowledge. He's getting fed a lot of information. His emotional response to that is what keeps him trapped in this cycle that has become a prison. If he could somehow separate that emotional response, or if someone would advocate, if someone close to him would advocate for him to guide him in his emotional response, then that would become a more of a storage area than a prison, and he could be freed to actually go focus on doing the things that he wants to do, or he said, he says, he states he wants to do, but you can sense the frustration in him.
Well,
And that information keeps him from being able to move forward.
as a practical matter, the irony in all of this, and that's another thing that I've really found interesting, and it's attractive. I'm attracted to it, and the concept of irony has always been so important to me. I don't know why, because the irony is just there's more irony in the world than people can even imagine. And in this situation, when I say knowledge is your prison. Knowledge without action is your prison. And it's that key statement, knowledge without action. I mean, imagine if someone knew how to build a jet engine, but nobody got off their ass and did it. Imagine if somebody discovered cooking and that's really where man's brain took off. A lot of people may not know this, but cooking of animals, we used to eat it raw. The cooking of food made a difference inside the anatomy of human beings. Changed our brains. The cooking of food, the easier way to extract those proteins and those chemicals that come from the food. Cooking made a huge. But here's the point: what if nobody acted upon that? What if nobody acted upon gathering animals in a single place, so that they didn't have to go hunting every day? Where would we be, Cletus?
Extinct.
Right. And today in the modern world, the one thing you have that no other time in history has been available to any single group of citizens of the world, okay, is knowledge. Knowledge rests at the tips of your fingers. Knowledge today can even be at the tip of your tongue when you can talk to machines that will then go and search and get the answer and bring it back to you, right? All
Yeah.
really quickly. And that knowledge, folks, that we do nothing, we do not act on it, is our prison. The more we know, the worse we feel, the worse things get, and the less and less we do. Knowledge
Well, and
is
it's their
fantastic.
emotional response to that knowledge that keeps us there, right? Because I mean, you take the 5.62 billion people with access to the internet, and they all get. I mean, the largest majority get online to just emotionally release and bash the shit out of anybody they can, and leave comments like "Go fuck your mother" or whatever, right? But imagine if all 5.62 billion could come together with the knowledge that they individually have and have reasonable, unemotional discussions, or even if emotional, at least reasonable at the end of them, right? Come to some type of reasonable conclusion to the discussion, how much further we could be and how quick we
You know,
could get.
I don't agree with that having that. I agree the discussion is an important integral part of it, but I think that there's no action connected to what you said. And that's why we're imprisoned by our own knowledge. It's one thing, as that's why I was saying the things I was saying. It's one thing to understand corralling animals gives you easy access to food, but it's another thing that if people didn't act on that knowledge, right? You just said it, we'd all be extinct. So let's have a discussion about um, whatever the topic may be, right? Whatever
Well,
things that we as a group see is fucked up. Having that discussion is great, but we also then have to be willing to act to correct the issue.
so then how about this? Instead of just the discussion with no emotion, it's a discussion toward a goal instead of
There
an
you
emotional trigger.
There you go.
Because I mean,
I do.
you were talking about harvesting animals, right? And I'm thinking of fire, and I'm thinking if when fire was discovered,
Right.
if the person that was pissed off, or if the person that discovered it was pissed off, most likely they would have just taken it and killed whoever they were pissed off at. But
That's fucking
instead,
right.
somebody discovered it and discovered, hey, I can cook fucking meat with this. I can stay warm with this. I don't have to just go eradicate everybody. I don't have to go into all their chat rooms and say, go fuck yourself. Right?
And I'm sure early on, for the longest time, people tried to keep the flame burning because they didn't know how to create it.
Right.
And eventually, someone then figured out how to create flame. right? And that may have even been by a simple accident. It's like the invention of the wheel. Imagine being shown the wheel and people just ignoring it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Our lives, we suffer when we have knowledge that we don't act on. And actions usually are group based, they're not just one person. You generally, right? They say you need a village to raise a family. Well, you need a village to have a country, right? Let's start with that. And so, you're not going to vote one guy in or two people in, and they're going to do the heavy lifting that our society requires. I hate to point this out, folks, but go look at the infrastructure in China. Go look at theirs and look at ours. Go ahead. Go look at their bridges, their dams, their structures, their go look. You tell me what happened to America. That was us. And yet, where are we? We're stuck in this swamp of knowledge, and there's nobody out there inspiring us to act. And that's why I started these messages too, because I'm going to start pounding on people that are in a position to act. And so those may not be as pleasant as the ones you're hearing now. But I'm going to try to.
I will say this: every weekday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, you do have the ability now to visit one of the pinnacles of Chinese construction in the Clock Tower Square. So,
and Clock Tower Square, what's adjacent, or actually the base of Clock Tower Square is what?
The Ligama Balls Convention Center.
The Ligama Balls Convention Center, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you a private tour anytime you want, honey. Ligama Balls, 24/7, 365. Yeah, and I think that message is so descriptive of where we are as a country. Knowledge without action has become our prison, and the actions that we have historically depended on, or at least been convinced that historically made changes, right? And they have. They eliminated slavery. They got rid of Jim Crow, right? There has absolutely been points in history where those people that you entrust with doing the job of the country were doing it. Yeah. And that no longer exists. And that could be Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, with the the cracker claws down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could it's just all over the place. Look at the Gilgo Beach murders. Look at all the chaos of the Karen Reed case, the Delphi case. I mean, oh my God, it's all over the place. Whether it be true crime or whether it be just generally in the country, all the kids that are going missing, and all of the chaos and vitriol that's amongst all of us, because this guy likes a guy and that guy likes Jesus. Oh, well, great for both of you. Okay, none of my business. Right? To live with you in society, it's none of my business. I don't need to know. I don't need to stick my shit down your throat. And yeah, dudes, I don't want your shit down my throat. Right?
Yeah.
And that's we're stuck on just such a bad fucking path. But we can fix it so easily. Right.
We're with the internet, we're like we invented the wheel and decided the best use was to roll it off a fucking cliff. With a rope attached to us.
Yeah, I mean, this makes the invention of the wheel look like a joke. Yeah. When it comes to the everyday human being having a say, this is the place. And where's our leader? And when I say leader, I mean multiple people. It doesn't need to be. It ain't going to be me. Okay. No matter what you say in those other videos.
I don't like the word. I don't like the word leader in terms of how it's the context it's typically used in. Well, it's not a bad word, but I think the context of how it's used needs to change, because the question should be, where's the leader within each of us?
There you go. There you go. How do we put that into a phrase or a small term?
I think that's it, right? Where's
personal leadership?
Yeah, where is the leader within each of us? And we have to find that, right? We have to find that person within ourselves that can push past the emotional bullshit and drama that we're prone and made to feed into. We're emotional creatures. We're designed to have an emotional response, but the leaders within us have to find a way to get past that and put what we have in front of us to use for good and for furthering the cause, if you will.
I absolutely agree. I mean that's way better than using the word I was using. That explanation is spot on. We're all individual leaders, but let me just say this: I think rather than use the word leaders, messengers. There's people out there with tens of millions of followers, and they could be messengers, not leaders, but messengers, right?
Well,
And help carry the desire of the people. If like I said, we target user agreements and start with that, then there needs to be many messengers. It's not just going to be Cletus and Sargent, right? There's just too much area to cover for a small channel like this. No matter what, I mean, we could be here 100 years, but there's some people that because they're so entertaining have gotten massive followings,
yeah,
and they'd be great messengers.
yeah,
No,
I don't disagree. I do not disagree.
that's why I say that those people are going to be coming up on the messages too, because it's not that they're a better person or they're no better than any of us, but they happen to have an appeal that millions of people take a shine to, and those people are in a position to do more good for society than little old sarges and messages too. Although I hope those messages too, if I kick them in the nads over and over enough, that they'll get noticed by some of those big accounts. I'm going to start targeting them, not in the near future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the message to some other people. I anxiously await to see your messages to them because
Uh,
I think you're an absolute example of what I'm talking about, right? You found the leader within yourself and the cause for that leadership that extends beyond yourself, and that's crafting very very good messages to people.
yeah, I do. I've always said this, folks. I've always had this uncanny ability to take the complex and make it very simple,
Yeah.
and that's always been a strength I've always had. A jet engine is simply a fan. It's a fan that forces air into a small space that's mixed with fuel and lit. And when you light anything afire, it expands and it blows out the back of an engine. It's the most ridiculous concept, but yet there is a complexity to it. But its simplicity is just laughably ridiculous. It's not even a rocket. It's laughably ridiculous when people say, "Well, you're not a rocket scientist." Believe me, the complexity of what they attain. There's a lot of complexity in making these things come together to do what they do. But all it is fire.
Yeah, right.
It's just fire, folks. That's it.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you, your car, everything, it's just fire. That's why I'm a big promoter of electricity, of electrical stuff, because it's in your ability to find different ways to make electricity that you will move to the next level of human advancement. And playing with fire has done us a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, we're some creative son of a bitches. Like I'll ask you this question. So when a spark plug, describe what happens in an engine when a spark plug lights the fuel. What do you think is happening there, Cletus?
You have combustion and you create pressure
What is
that pushes your
what
piston.
what is combustion?
Ignition. It's an
What is that?
explosion. It's an explosion.
Okay, good. That's what I was trying to get you. Everybody thinks that, and you're all wrong. There is no explosion inside of a combustion engine. It's a rapid burning of the fuel, and if you an explosion is measured by the rate of burn, the time it takes to burn. Okay, and when you look at the combustion that happens in an engine, your piston moves at high RPM. Your piston speed is faster than the combustion of the fuel.
No, that's
You
fair.
see?
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
well, no, it's not even that it's fair. It's accurate. It's an
Well, okay.
expansion of the fuel through burning. It's not an explosion. So
He's like, look, motherfucker, it's accurate. Just accept it.
yeah, there is no explosion inside of a gas engine. It is not an explosion. What happens is your piston pushes this fuel and air into a very small space, and when it's lit, it expands and burns so fast that it has to do something. And the engine's designed, the something that it does is it pushes down on the part that compressed it. That part is now ready to go back down again, and
So
the
it's a
rate of burn is fast.
so it's a
But it burns.
combustion. It's a combusting that creates pressure, which
Correct.
kind of defines an explosion, does it not?
No, it does not.
Okay.
No, that's why it's not an explosion engine. It's a combustion engine. And you could go look up Dave Vivet, Dave, and the science. Go look it up, folks. You'll see that I am absolutely right. A combustion engine has no explosion. It has a rapid burn of fuel and air that expands, and that expansion is doing the work.
I
It
don't
doesn't go
disagree
off
with
like
you.
a
I'm
fire.
just I'm
It don't go
confused.
off like a firecracker. In other words,
Yeah, I don't
it doesn't
disagree with
explode.
you. I'm just confused about the difference in the definition. I'm gonna go look that up though.
Yeah, look, Dave.
Educate myself.
Um, yeah, but here's what I don't even know how why did I point that out? I pointed it out because sometimes things aren't what we think they are,
Yeah.
and things aren't that complex. And realize that if you can expand a handful of air, right, in a couple thousandths of a second, right, expand that's causing force that can be used to actually do something mechanical. You're creating mechanical energy, but it's not complicated. And sometimes and the reason I wanted to bring that up is our perception of what's happened sometimes, even though it makes perfect sense, you think it's an explosion, and it isn't. It's just an expansion of the air. That's what's expanding, folks, is the air. It's been squeezed really tight, and then a flame is lit, and the expansion of that heat traveling through the air causes it to expand and push. So sometimes it is even less complex. I mean, an explosion kind of makes it simple, I guess. No, thinking of it that way.
Yeah, but if it's not an accurate term, then it's not an accurate term. So, I mean,
Right. And Elon's actually trying to put together a rocket right now that takes out the pumps that push the fuel between the oxygen tank and the methane tank and pushes it into a combustion chamber under pressure. He's actually creating a rocket that will have enough pressure in the tanks themselves that they will not need a pump, thereby producing much more energy because you're not wasting any of the pressure from the fuel delivery system from the pumps. You take that pump out of the system, and
yeah,
if you can provide the same amount or even greater amount of fuel delivery without the pump, that's a significant advancement in rocket. And that's really that's the latest advancement that rocketry can make. There's nowhere else to go with it. Anyhow, I'm sorry I'm rambling about shit that's probably over the top for some people, but it's just as an example, things that in man's world are not that fucking complicated, folks. And when someone says, "Well, what do you think? You're a rocket scientist?" Go get a fucking book and read. You too can understand how a rocket works.
you say
So,
you too can understand how a rocket works.
so don't let people intimidate you. You're not a fucking doctor. No, I'm not a fucking doctor, but I can absolutely read the books the doctor read and understand what he understands. Fair enough,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Don't make me a doctor, but do I need the title to understand how things in my world, a toaster works? Do I need to be a toaster repairman, a Maytag man to know how to wash or work? No, get a book, damn it.
You're not
Anyway,
wrong. You're not wrong. Because my dumbass redneck self has learned a lot just from, doing that exact thing.
reading a book.
Reading a book and using the internet. You know, I learned how to splice fiber optic cable by watching a YouTube video. And my boss at the time, he advised me to do that because I called him and I'm like, I have no fucking idea how to do this. And he's like, "What? Pull it up on YouTube." And I fucking laughed, right? Because I'm like, "Yeah, that you're fucking you're fucking joking." He's like, "No, I'm serious." So I pulled it up on fucking YouTube, and what do you know? 15 minutes later, I'm splicing fiber. I mean, there's a lot of positive
I told
uses.
people you can learn to fly a helicopter from YouTube. I've told
Yeah,
people there's no need to go to college. You got to be an idiot to go to college. What you need a course on Google search. If not Google, any other search engine. The truth to the internet is based on the wording you use for the question you have. So, like the question, I'm going to say it's the question of global warming. Start looking around different ways of trying to understand that topic, right? I started out by looking at historical temperatures, and I started out a long time ago, and I realized it was an ice age that just ended, less than 200 years ago. That it was warmer during the Roman days. Does that mean our pollution isn't causing any effect on the planet? I doubt it. I'm sure it is, right? I mean, just there's 8 billion of us taking a shit every day. I'm sure the earth wasn't really prepared for that. You get ready for that there, Cletus. I don't even want to know. So there's no doubt we do have an effect. I mean,
well, it's a good thing the fucking planet's green, otherwise it would be brown.
Oh fuck! And here's something too that I found that I think is extraordinarily interesting because this person Tory Brooks completely ignored it. But she says, so by this logic, you're damned if your parents suck, even if you don't. Your history determines your destiny. No one can supersede their family. And anyone who doesn't like their parents of the opposite sex, men not liking their mothers, daughters not liking their fathers, it sucks to date people like that. They're not dateable. Now, let me just say that there's an immense amount of truth in what Tucker shared here. I know in my own life, you know, how many times you heard me say I'm a great date, but I suck as a boyfriend?
Right.
You've heard me say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's a lot of us out there that are guys like that. And guess who had which parent was the most contentious in my life? The one that caused me the most grief and suffering?
Your mother.
My stepmother.
Yeah.
Now, I never heard these statements. I never even knew people. I never even gave any thought to this, right? Because you don't ever focus that deeply on things. Your history determines your destiny. My real father was a degenerate gambler. He was and drinker. So I ended up a drug addict. He was a criminal. I was a drug dealer. Didn't even know who the guy was. I was mimicking his life, just under different circumstances. So does your family's history determine your destiny? In many people's lives, that's true. It just has a different shape. You're damned if your parents suck, even if you don't. Yeah. Until you like that, I was able to overcome some of these things I've experienced, but I've overcome them. But some of them, well, I've experienced all of the points. Some of them I've gotten by. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get by them, but I didn't know something as simple as your history determines your destiny. Right. That I never really I never looked at it in these simplistic terms. And I think it's very powerful what's being said by the people that he's interviewing. So it's only 41 seconds. And do you mind if I play it?
Yeah, play it.
Try to marry a girl who likes her dad.
Why do you think that's important? I've never heard anybody say that.
Because I've noticed it. I've noticed it a lot up close. This is just an observation of mine. But, everyone's disappointed by his dad or her dad in later life. Like, you learn that your dad's human and, holy shit, I can't believe he's human. Thought he was God. No, that's natural. But, when you're 8, if you're deeply disappointed in your dad, especially as a girl,
yeah,
that leaves a mark. And I've known women who had terrible relationships with their fathers who were wonderful people and well-balanced people, but it's harder for sure. Whereas a woman who, grew up really loving her dad and feeling secure in his leadership as a dad and his love as a dad, that girl is more secure and less jumpy. And she's not, thinking that every argument's going to lead to divorce. Try to marry a girl.
Do you see do you have any agreement with that?
I don't disagree with it. I'm more confused by the bullet points that the person reviewing this left.
Well, they're trying to say that if what he's saying is true, this is what he's telling you, and he's
so
right.
they're looking at it through the lens of toxic masculinity bad, and
probably
let's portray that and make sure everybody sees that message on top of Tucker's face. Yeah,
but if
regardless
you
of what he's saying.
Right. And the way we've been trained to deal with knowledge, 5.62 billion fucking idiots aren't going to get what he's saying. But this does not apply to just women. Remember,
right.
He made it personal. It's my observation. Well, he's a fucking guy. He's giving you the observation from a guy's point of view, and he's not really trying to appeal to any audience. He's sharing with you knowledge that he's acquired throughout life. And I think his observation goes both ways. Obviously, I can relate to it as a dude. Having my big issues were with my mom. Call her whatever you want, right? That's where my trouble at home. She was the main fucking agitator of it. She was the driver of it, right? So does that now hearing what he said today? Now it makes sense. Why and so if I'd have known this 30 or 40 years ago, I may have been able to do something with it. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. I don't know that it necessarily applies in every scenario, like you're
No,
talking about.
I don't think
Um,
every case, but I think a plethora of them, a majority
well,
of them.
I think it fits the narrative of, you know, men typically marry their mother and women typically marry their father, right, or somebody
Yep.
that has those characteristics. And you know, I really can't argue with that. I mean, I for example, you know, me and Clue have been together 8 years, and that's the longest relationship I've ever had. And if there's ever been somebody that I've been in a relationship with that's very much like my mother in a lot of ways in terms of personality, it would be her,
Yeah.
right? And it's a fair point.
And it's a sensible point. And although it does not subscribe to every single person, it doesn't define everybody. It's been so powerful that it's been actually in our vocabulary, as you just pointed. Men marry their mother, or women marry their dad. It's been right there in plain English for us this whole time. We've never given a second thought.
Right.
Like it seems like no, I didn't marry my dad. When you compare that particular long held piece of knowledge, commonly held, to what he's saying, now it starts to paint a different picture, because that means if your dad's a piece of shit, right, you end up with a lot of piece of shit boyfriends. Fair enough. Or if your dad's missing in your life and you don't have any father, you end up in a very different situation than somebody that grew up with a loving dad. Not to say that the girl with the loving dad can't also have the same issues you have, but I'm just saying. I think they say you can go to a whorehouse every day. You're more likely to get laid by. You're more likely to engage with a horse than if you never go. Fair enough.
I would say that.
Right?
Exactly.
You might go there thinking you're just going there to have a Coke and talk on the porch. Eventually, you're going to have some interaction with those women. And I
Give me
think when what he's pointing out is pretty interesting when it comes to knowledge.
give me just a second, Sarge. I'll be right back.
The hell time is it? Yeah, here we go. It's 3 minutes before the end of the show. He's gonna ditch us. What up, pandies?
Sorry about that. I saw a car
That's okay.
driveway and I didn't expect anybody, so I had to
You got
check.
company? Or
No,
they turn
dinner. Dinner's arriving.
Oh, maybe at 10 o'clock at night. Are you guys crazy?
Yeah, I know, right?
You should never eat before you go to sleep. That's just not a good idea. But anyway, listen, this has been a kind of back and forth show, many different areas, good, bad, or indifferent. And we're down to the last minute or two, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I hope you all get a chance. Maybe I should post a link. I think I did, didn't I? I think I posted a link of the Seth Rogers clip. And I also would think that Seth Rogers clip may have more power if the streamers that led the charge of all of this attack. I think there would probably be significant benefit if the streamers themselves were to hear this, because it may wake some of these people up. Probably not, but
I don't disagree with that at all, right? I really don't. I think every and I say this in the best way possible, but everybody, regardless of side that they've been on, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I think the vast majority, if not all, have picked a side, whether they openly stated it or not. And very few are left that are actually just, on the side of bringing Sebastian home, first and foremost. So I think every creator that's covering this case should hear it.
yeah, I think that would provide a massive benefit. I think more importantly I just, like I said, they're using them as a patsy, and that they're stoking the flames to past pain and anger and anguish that has nothing to do with the boy missing at this point. And unless and until it ever does, then none of this time should have been spent going down those roads. And the creators need to be responsible. The creators, the fucking streamers, you need to be more responsible. And your guests you should have a pattern of responsibility that your guests wouldn't be surprised that you enforce against them. Fair enough.
No, that's fair.
And here you come in and woulda, coulda, shoulda, if maybe, and you get slammed, you get thrown out. I ain't having it. Talk about the facts that we have available to us and nothing else. I don't want to hear your fucking fantasy thoughts, because it could have been No, man. No, could have been me banging your mother that produced your life for all the fuck you want to get in a woulda couldas, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff drives me, and that's my limit in here. And I think as a host and even a co-host, you got to have limits that you'll keep your show focused forward on. I don't have a problem with stupid jokes and nasty words and all of that. That stuff isn't offensive or hurtful to me at all.
Well,
But
and
I
I mean,
do,
quite frankly, in terms of a study or a proof in concept, look at your accuracy with the Idaho 4. Right? You've probably 85% of the time kept speculation somewhat out of it and just reason and logic based on the facts at hand as the primary focus. And I would say you've been more accurate than anybody I've heard.
I appreciate that. You're right, and I as an example, that's a great one. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Well, and I mean, I think I think it's worth mentioning and it's worth pointing out, and everybody should consider that and just the power in that, right? If we're truly here to solve problems, emotions aren't going to solve problems, but facts and logic will.
Right. Well, we're going to leave it at that. Cletus has the last word tonight because his last words were about me,
Yeah, there you go.
and I just booted his ass for being so kind. Enjoy your dinner, bro. I'll talk with you tomorrow. But yeah, definitely enjoy your dinner. To the folks in the audience, for those that did like, I appreciate it. I'm very thankful. And I don't care if it's 1 like or it's 1 trillion likes. Matters not to me. I hope this show was as humorous and as dumb and as smart and as whatever as it can be, because we like to cover all the bases. So everyone be good, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow night.